Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome from the Daytona International Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. We are here for Duel number 2 in the SimRacerHub.com Truck Series. My name's Tyler Dittmer, joined in the booth, as always, here on Monday nights by Will Tiller. And Will, what an amazing Duel number 1 we just had. I
Uh,
mean, what a great way to kick off the year.
oh man, it was so exciting, Tyler, to start off duel number one. We were talking about there at the end of that race about how everybody had that key word you were talking about, Tyler, patience. Everybody waited their turn, waited for their opportunity, and at the end, it was a three wide photo finish at the end in duel number one. So I'm intrigued and excited to see what we have here in duel number two.
For sure. And as we saw, duel number 1 pretty much run in the evening, maybe not complete darkness, but now it has fully gone to night here at Daytona International Speedway. We're running under the lights here in duel number 2. And what should be a very exciting race as we have some big names from the Triple M Pulling Truck Series making their dual debuts here in the SimRacerHub.com series, as well as some new, fresh young faces who are extremely competitive as well.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that stuck out to me last race there, Tyler, for the drivers that are starting off, let's say on the front row, so first and second, for me, in my opinion, that was almost a disadvantage in that starting position. Because once we saw those pit stops kind of come into play, reshuffling of the field, if you will, it was really the drivers, let's say in the third, fourth, even the second row that were able to come out on top at the end of that race. We saw, for instance, Kerry Tribute started on the front row, actually ended up finishing just around fifth or fourth at the end of that race, or third, excuse me.
Carey Tribute did end up finishing third, and that could be credited to those green flag stops having to get more fuel after leading those laps early on than other drivers who only had to get a certain number of fuel based on them already being in the draft. They saved more fuel so they could get to the front and not have to worry about fuel as much at the end. You know, those numbers are going to be a little bit different when you're up front versus riding around in the pack, and that's going to cause a big difference in how you can approach pit road as well as getting on and off of it effectively.
Yeah, definitely. So that's a key thing to watch out for here, ladies and gentlemen. We saw it last race. We actually had a caution flag that kind of came into play. Now, in this race here, Tyler, if we have a green flag run all the way through this race, that might shake out to be a little bit of a different finish. Or on the flip, if we have a caution flag earlier in the proceedings here tonight, how do you think that's going to shake out this end of the race?
Well, as we saw, drivers came to pit road with about 10 laps to go. They probably didn't have much more fuel to burn at that point. So if we see a caution, I would say any time before lap 5, maybe we could see guys pit then and try to stretch that number through the end. But if we see a caution anywhere after lap 10, that should get these drivers to a point where they can make it to the end if they pit under caution. As we saw with duel number 1, their trucks are running with 60% normal fuel capacity. On top of that, they only have 2 sets of tires, one of which is what they're starting on, so they only can change for one fresh set. And another thing to keep note, this duel a little bit larger than the previous duel. We're looking closer to 18 to 20 trucks, just based off of guys who didn't have preset entries or people just failing to show up for duel number 1. So a little bit of a bigger field here tonight, and a lot of drivers to keep eyes on, and that may help drivers save fuel in the draft.
And one of the drivers to keep an eye out for was actually my vote for the Hard Luck Award last week, and that's the number 90 of Matt Hutchison. We saw Matt start on the front row for that race, really race competitively between that, the low side, the top side lanes, was really racing strong there until he unfortunately got caught up towards the end of the race. I believe he almost finished almost dead last on the grid at the end of that race. So really watch out for that 90 truck here tonight. Going to roll off about the 13th position when that green flag drops. But I know that he has the confidence, he has the skill to get up to that lead pack, really race it out here tonight. Maybe a little bit less pressure having to start there in the middle of the pack than starting on the front row here in the duels. Watch out for that truck. But Tyler, we'd be remiss not to mention the 37 of Raul Meza that's going to lead the way here at the green flag.
Yeah, Raul Mesa leaving his teammate out to dry last week in the clash at Cody Knott, who ended up finishing, I believe, fifth in duel number 1. Tonight, Raul Mesa will start and pull after finishing second in the clash. And, you know, a little bit of contention on that Warrior Racing Esports team. Teammates not working together, per se, to make sure that one of them got the win in the clash. Unfortunately, Cody could not pull it off for Warrior Racing Esports. Neither could Chris Blanchard as he got caught up in an incident. But can Raul Meza or Brandon Bullock pull off the win tonight for the Warrior Racing Esports entries here in duel number two? Duel number two is yet to be seen. But I think there's a few other drivers you have to keep our eye on. You know, league owner Brady LaBeouf in that number 9 machine. He is in the field in duel number two. We also have Blake Lothian, real life Camping World Truck Series driver, soon to be Craftsman Truck Series driver, rolling off that number 43 machine, the Sick With It Motorsports entry. Kyle Hess, your pole sitter for the Butt Kicker 200 at Daytona International Speedway. He's in this duel as well. Cody Sanderson, another big name from our recruitment races. Matthew Hutchinson, as you said, your hard luck award. Jason Stevenson and Tyler Daniels, teammates to the driver who won in duel number one for BP Racing for Autism. All these drivers are big names, important names to watch, and we really do have a stacked field here in duel number two.
We really do here. I'm excited for the drop of the green flag here in duel number two. I think it's going to be a whole different race than we saw in duel number one. Duel number one, as you mentioned, it was a little bit of a lull. It got kind of calm there. It was really action packed to start off until about lap 10, 15. Then we saw really just a straight line on that bottom side before those pit stops ensued. And then once those pit stops ensued, that's what really, I'd say, determined our winner at the end of the race. And of course, we had a lap car that came into the mix that threw a caution there, gave us a green white checkered. But if it wasn't for those pit stops and setting that grid right there before that caution, I would say, for let's just mention for Kerry Tribune there, that pit stop really hurt him as it dropped him down the grid. He did finish third there, so able to come up 2 spots when he headed down pit road. But still, keep an eye out for that here tonight, and keep an eye out for the start of this race. Are we going to see the same competitiveness and action-packed race that we saw in duel number one, where it's a little bit of a lull there in the middle, or is it going to be a little bit more of a lull here to start this race, and then once we get down to about 10, 15 laps to go, is that where the action is going to start to kick off?
Maybe, but whenever you think of speed weeks in the NASCAR Cup Series in real life, you always see duel number one, calm, almost never a caution, green flag stop, trucks, I mean, cars get single file, spaced out, not really much of a race at the end. Duel number two, though, on the other hand, generally drivers are more aggressive. They're trying to make moves. They're trying to figure out how far they can push their cars to the limit. These drivers may be no exception. They may be pushing their trucks to the limit. We may see more cautions here in the second duel, not just because of that factor, but also the fact that they've been sitting around all night. Some of these drivers watched duel number one, and on top of that, more trucks here in duel number two. That could breed chaos in and of itself, Will. And I think we're going to see a very entertaining duel number two here. And I don't think we'll have that single file lull that we had.
No, I don't think so either. I think every driver that's on this starting grid here for duel number two wants to win this race here tonight. They want to go into that main event next week with a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence. And for a lot of these drivers here in duel number two, they just had bad luck in the clash last week. They had the trucks to win, they had the speed, they had the skill, they were making the right moves, the right strategies. It's just hard luck down towards the end of these races cost. Matt Hutchison had a bad go at the end. I see Justin Lumpkin down there at the bottom of this grid. A few of these drivers really had the skill, really had the speed. It's just towards the end of the race, things got a little choppy, knocked them down the grid. But we'll see here tonight with a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence here. They want to show out in these trucks. As you mentioned, it's a stacked field. They really want to show that they got the stuff heading into the first race of the season.
Yeah, and as we see, our session has already been advanced, so we will be gridding up here soon in duel number two. The race control has just given his pre-race to the drivers. And these drivers got a lot to look forward to here in duel number two. 25 laps. It goes by quick if they're run under green. It can be a long, long time if they are not under green, though. 20 trucks are in the field tonight as we're going to go through the running order first. Raul Meza, your pole sitter based on last week's results. Christian Rogers will run off second. Kyle Hess, your pole sitter for the Buck Kicker 200. He'll start third. Cody Trantham fourth. Cody Sanderson fifth. Brandon Bullock sixth. Steve Barnett seventh. Eighth will be the number 6 machine of Zach Hartwick. Ninth will be Travis Burtzer. And 10th will be Ron Hunter. So we look through the rest of the field. We have Michael J. Boyd, Jason Stevenson for BP Racing for Autism, Matthew Hutchinson, your Hard Luck Award winner from last week. Further down, we have Tyler Daniels, Brady LaBeouf, Jason Morales, Justin Lumpkin, Bill Hales, correction, my apologies, Sean Hamilton, and rounding out the field is Blake Lothian with Sick With It Motorsports. And I don't see the number 35 machine of Ricky Allen. I don't remember him in the first duel either. So unfortunately, the other driver starting the front for the Butt Kicker 200 is not going to be in either of the duels tonight, as the trucks start to roll off pit road and down towards turn one. My apologies, to do their one pace lap before we go green here in duel number two.
Yeah, as we see this pace truck leading them around the track here to get these trucks warmed up. Tyler, my question to you here before this green flag drops. We spoke about what it's going to take to get the victory there in duel number one. But after watching duel number one, what can you take from that race that you can apply to duel number two? And do you think it's still going to be that same, the P word, the patience here in this race, or is it something else that these drivers can implement, maybe from watching duel number one before they took the track here tonight, that might be the key to victory?
I think it's going to be more of the same patience. But something that we did see in duel number one that we maybe haven't talked about yet, Torrey Thompson restarted that green white checker from the front row. He did not fall any further back than fourth on that restart. If we have a late race restart here, barring chaos on the final lap with wrecking up front, I don't think you can win from any way further back than maybe the third row at most. Kerry Tribune, he started in that third row in that final restart. All he got to was third. Michael Allen, who finished second that final restart, all he could do, he started fourth, I believe, on that final restart. All he could do is finish second. So I think you really have to be in those first two rows on a late race restart, a green white checker, to win here.
Yeah, and it's just about green flag racing time as the pace lights are off of that pace truck. The truck's all ready to go. The drivers are ready to go. We're ready to go up here in the booth as the green flag is in the air for dual race here at number two in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series as we head down into corner number one.
Raul Meza not getting a great start, not a lot of support behind him as that number 22 machine of Cody Trantham on the outside. Sorry, Curtis Rogers on the outside. He'll drop down in front. Looks like these drivers are kind of just getting it settled at 2 by 2 by 2. Cody Trantham now in the 22 machine is looking for the lead down the backstretch, and he's going to get it with a big run. The 88 of Cody Sanderson right behind him. Cody Sanderson, teammate of Jonathan Wiley, Who's Your Daddy Motorsports, very similar pace schemes on those trucks tonight. But it looks like that 85 machine up there of Rogers, he's looking on the inside to try and make a move back to the front.
Yeah, and not the greatest of starts for Raul Meza right there, as now he's having a battle to kind of keep his position on the track. But right now, we're starting to see a little bit of the same from duel number one. The drivers are starting to find their partners, starting to feel who they can work with here tonight as we head down to corner number one. We're side by side with just the slightest edge going to that 22 truck on the outside.
Correction, that is Tristan Rogers, not Curtis Rogers in the 85. Whoever let them be 85 and 65 is not my friend right now when it comes to the scoring pile. But the Rogers group's also on different teams to make it even more confusing. Tristan Rogers there on that inside lane, Cody Trenton in that outside lane. They're getting support from Cody Sanderson and Raul Meza, respectively. And doesn't seem like anyone in row three really wants to push. Kyle Hess is significantly closer to the back of that Raul Meza machine than, it looks like, I believe, Brandon Bullock in that 17 machine way on the outside. And he is really not looking to push Cody Sanderson.
Now, one thing that already stands out to me here, Tyler, that was different from duel number one, you're seeing a lot more of these drivers start to feel different lines of draft. You're starting to see a little bit more movement here as we come off of corner number two. Watch as we come down the backstretch. A lot of these drivers are going to kind of move back and forth from that truck in front of them right there. We see actually a driver come out of line right there. But a lot of these drivers are starting to feel different lines, starting to feel different opportunities. And that's very different from what we saw in duel number one.
That's your Butt Kicker 200 pole sitter, Kyle Hess, getting out of line. It looks like the outside line disintegrating early on already. Inside line clearly has the numbers. Cody Sanderson dives to the bottom behind Raul Meza. And it looks like now Raul Meza jumps to the outside. As soon as one goes to the bottom, one goes back up top. And now the outside lane has a big run coming through the trial.
A little leapfrog action there for the 37 truck of Raul Meza. He's on the outside. He's getting a big push from that 22. It could be a little bit of an extra push there as that 22 had the lead or battling for the lead for just a moment there as we come off of corner number two of that backstretch. It's Raul Meza and Rogers side by side drag racing down the backstretch.
As you see now, the number two machine of Travis Burtzer is slotted in the third in line on that inside row. Our mover the number four machine on the outside. Cyclical Motorsports. We don't really see very many teammate pairs up front right now. It kind of seems like everyone's just on their own thing. Correction, actually, Cody Sanderson, the 88 machine, and Travis Burtzer in that two machine are teammates. So sitting second and third on the inside row, back nose to tail, those are teammates working together. But that's the only part we see.
Yeah, as Raul Meza in that 37 truck is going to go to the inside lane now. A big push from the 22 to push him down to the inside lane. He's going to ride that momentum across 1 and 2, hitting that apex right there. Leading the way here down the backstretch, going to take them down that inside lane. That 22 truck, though, is going to lose a little bit of speed with that 37 not pulling him along there on that top side lane. Still getting a big push out of that 4 truck, though, as we head down into 3.
And Adam Newberg gave a shot to the back of the Cody Trantham truck. Raul Meza, probably upset with the start he had to this race, was the pole sitter, didn't lead a lap to begin with. He was aggressive in getting his way back to the front in front of that Tristan Rogers 85 machine, who has help from Cody Sanderson behind. But right now, it looks like we have two different groups right now. We have the main pack, pretty much running 2 by 2, maybe a little bit of a gap in that outside lane between Adam Newberg and Brandon Bullock. And then we have a second pack, all running single file. So kind of interesting to see how these drivers are figuring themselves out.
Yeah, as a 22 truck on the outside lane there is getting a big push from Newberg there in the 4, which is allowing him to just get the slightest advantage here on these runs. And you see Raul Meza is going to get a big run off of 2, but you see that 4 truck is almost underneath that 22, pushing him down into 3.
Yeah, as these trucks, it looks like the number 4 truck is going for the lead. We may have a number mistake, actually. It looks like as Steve Barnett is what is showing as the number 4 truck, but he's actually supposed to be, I believe, the 42 truck. So that's unfortunate. He'll have to get that fixed before next week. And that's going to be confusing, as I thought it was Adam Newberg the entire time, who is supposed to be driving the number 4s. We are 3 wide for second.
Yeah, we're 3 wide battling right here, only a couple laps into this race. It's a huge Raul Meza stuck in the middle lane. That's not where you want to be right there on the corner. He is definitely sweating in his iRacing simulator right now as we have a big wreck on the leaders.
Trouble in the back, and that started, it looked like, from 3 lanes trying to become 2, and that did not work as well as it should have. As we'll have to go to Holtz Popper's instant replay, I believe, but Steve Barnett was the leader when the caution came out, but it looks like multiple trucks involved there. And that's an unfortunate wreck to start off this race.
Yeah, very unfortunate, Tyler, but this is very, very different from duel number 1. We had one caution there towards the end of the race just because a lapped car came into the mix. This wreck in particular, it looked like it was a battle for about the 5th or 6th position there, a little bit further down from the leaders, but we're just only about 4 or 5 laps in this race. We have our first caution.
Yeah, Travis Burtzer and Sean Hamilton getting involved there. Looks like Sean maybe got tight or loose randomly and came up the track and collected Burtzer in that number 2 machine. But Sean Hamilton, the 89 machine, a rough start to his season with HD Motorsports. Already getting involved in this early on, and I believe that'll be the end of the day for Burtzer and Hamilton early on here. As we're going to try and get back to see if there's any green flag stops occurring right now. A little bit of a difficulty with the replay, but we'll hopefully get that sorted out here soon. As right now, your leader is Steve Barnett in the 4 truck, which should actually be the 42 truck. Running second right now is Tristan Rogers, actually in the 5. Raul Meza running third in that 37. Cody Trent fourth in that 22 machine. Cody Sanderson rounding up the top 5 in that 88 truck. But like I said, we're past that 5 lap mark. I think you can come in now and get your fuel and your tires.
I don't know. Right now, Tyler, as you see, a lot of these leaders are heading down pit road right now with about 18 laps to go here. My question to you, though, is this a little bit too early, per se? Do you want to try to stay out and push the envelope and then maybe hope for another caution towards the end? Or do you think it's just the perfect time to head down pit road?
Problem is, if there is no caution between now and the end of this race, Cody Trantham and Michael J. Boyd, who both stayed out, are going to be in a world of trouble as they will run out of gas before the end of this race. Race off pit road will be won by Raul Meza, Tristan Rogers coming off second, Cody Sanderson third, Matthew Hutcherson fourth, and Steve Barnett, losing a lot of track position, came in the leader. He'll be restarting seventh coming off pit road in fifth.
Yeah, and this is where we saw the race kind of shape up in duel number one. Was this battle off of pit road? Was a few laps left in that race. It was towards the end of the race when we saw our first pit stop wave. Right now with 17 laps to go, it could play a factor here, Tyler, but I'm sure we're going to see a lot more competitive racing before this race is all over, as we just got our first caution of the night, and that was a battle for fifth.
Yeah, lap seven, already first caution of the night. Something we did not see in duel number one. Drivers being a little bit more aggressive. We didn't really see much three wide racing until literally the last lap in duel number one. We're already seeing three wide racing early on here, and unfortunately, it led to a caution. So important to note that these drivers being a little bit more aggressive than their duel one counterparts, and maybe that's gonna lead to a few more cautions tonight. Already, though, Sean Hamilton has taken his truck to the garage. His night is over. He'll be finishing up to the 20th. Travis Burtzer, as well, likely out of this race. He's also been given an EOL penalty by race control for that incident. It looks like maybe he was the one who caused that, and I may have misseen on my own replay. So these drivers getting ready. They've got the one to go. They're about to get these trucks two by two. One more pace lap around, but already we aren't seeing that P word, patience.
No, these drivers are hungry. These drivers are more hungry than the junkyard dog. They are trying to get this race victory here. And you spoke about this stacked field here in duel number two. And I think a lot of the drivers know who they're racing against, and they know that they can't take their time here tonight. They really need to push that envelope. They need to make some really good racing moves to get ahead of that guy next to him or behind him to really make sure they can steal that victory for themselves. It's almost like you want to be the best driver out there, and you know the other driver's a little bit better than you, but you want to show them here tonight that you have the skill, you have the ability to win this race here at Daytona. And especially heading into that main event, you're going to be one of two drivers that has a win here in the duels, comparing to Kerry Tribune, who won the Clash race. So only three drivers can go into next week's main event saying that they've won here at Daytona with a little bit of bragging rights as well.
Yeah, and I think it also gives you a big confidence boost, finishing well at Daytona, winning at Daytona, knowing that you can get the job done. I know personally for me, never really had the luck at super speedways at the end of a race. Always really ran well in stage races here, especially in the first stage or two. Ran up front, but can never quite find it at the end of the race, whether it be bad luck or being just in the wrong position at the wrong time and getting wrecked out, or just not having the ability to make that move for the win. As Cody Trantham is going to lead the field to the green here in the Geico restart, so he's got to wait till he gets to that blue box, and now he can mash the gas and lead the field to the start-finish line. Raul Meza closely into 81 machine of Michael J. Boyd did not fire off as well as he probably wanted to. It's going to be Trantham and Raul Meza probably clear of Michael J. Boyd, as Trantham's going to actually go up to the outside line in the tournament.
Yeah, he kind of saw the advantage of that. Oh man, things got a little dicey there heading into one and two. We saw a couple of drivers actually tap the apron just a tad bit there, as that 22 machine's going to take us off with two to that backstretch as Raul Meza tries to make a move on Trantham there. Trantham with a big block. Oh my goodness, we're seeing some action down the backstretch.
I believe the 90 machine of Hutchinson went around there. That's an unfortunate start to his race already. Raul Meza just making a late block there was not going to work, and it stacked up that outside line and caused a lot of chaos, as it looks like we may get some single file racing, but probably not, as these drivers have shown little patience early on.
No, a lot of these drivers are blocking and banging their way up this grid right here. As you see, Raul Meza's basically stuck at no man's land there on the top side lane. Just had two trucks come out of nowhere to throw a big block on that 37 there on the top side lane, as we have a battle for the lead ensuing right here off of corner number two.
And that is Cody Sanderson's 88 machine, Hoosier Daddy Motorsports, and Steve showing for actually the number 42 machine, Hunter Performance Motorsports. But Blake Lothian and that number 43 machine is on the back of Cody Trantham, and that truck is moving forward after starting near the back early on. Blake Lothian was not going to wait at all.
No, it doesn't look like any of these drivers want to wait at all here tonight, Tyler. As we're seeing coming off of four, oh my goodness, it's getting squeezed like lemonade here tonight as that topside lane just formed up in a second. Now leading the way down to corner number one.
And that's Blake Lothian and his teammate Justin Lumpkin. That's the first time we've seen two teammates work together tonight consistently, and that's the Sick With It Motorsports entries. And those two drivers work well with each other. They know each other from the Triple M Pulling Truck Series. But it looks like Justin Lumpkin's going to leave his teammate out to dry just as they get to the front. They decide, you know what, I want to lead this race. And Lumpkin's going to get a push there from Cody Trantham and try to get to the front in front of his teammate Blake Lothian.
Now, as we dig down into corners number 3 and 4, right now hitting the apex of 3 and 4, could that be a strategy though, there, Tyler, to control the outside lane and the inside lane at the same time, instead of only working on one lane at a time, having two teammates controlling both lanes? Could this be a competitive advantage here with 11 or 12 laps to go?
I'm going to tell you that strategy is going to lead to one of them getting turned by the drivers that are behind. Cody Trantham and Steve Barnett do not care that the front two are teammates. If they believe that they're being slowed up by either one of those two drivers unnecessarily, they will take them three wide or they will turn. I don't think you're going to see that work very well long term. Although for right now, it's working quite well. As Steve Barnett's going to get a great shove to the back of the 43 machine coming into turn 3 and 4.
And speaking of that 22, you can see how anxious that 22 truck is getting right there. You see him moving right, left on that back bumper there on the top side lane, just trying to really find that opportunity. He is getting very impatient right up there on that top side lane. Knows he has the speed there in that 22 truck. And as you mentioned, he's starting to get that guy loose in front of him. That is Lumpkin, who's starting to get a little bit of a wiggle there from that 22. That 22 wants to get up there. Like you said, once these teammates are controlling both lines, he wants to waste no time getting around these guys.
Yeah, you see Trantham. I think he's going to run out of patience here soon. I think he's going to make his move around Lumpkin if Lumpkin doesn't get clear of Lothian this time down the backstretch. They had a run. Looks like Lumpkin may be dragging the brake. Another driver, though, who probably won't want to wait much is Jason Morales from Mission 1 Esports. That number 5 truck on the outside. He's not a teammate with those front two drivers either. I don't think he really wants to sit and ride around when he could be leading this race as well.
And you see the 4 truck right there coming off the corner. You're starting to see these drivers trying to find their opportunities, find their windows here as we're going to cross the strike here with 10 laps to go right there as the 18 truck's going to take us down to corner number 1. But he goes down on the inside lane with his teammate as Tratham right there, that 22. We're 3 wide going around 1 and 2.
Yeah, Morales saw that as an opportunity once Lumpkin left Trantham out to dry, and that's Steve Burnett, and there's a big wreck. And that's Trantham, it looks like, hooking Barnett into that outside wall. Looks like Trantham tried to side draft, and that's the second straight week. It looks like Trantham's been caught up in an incident here at a super speedway. Pulse Popper's instant replay. We'll have to see exactly what happened there with Trantham, but looked like a side draft gone wrong, and everyone was just scattered.
Yeah, it's what I like to call there, Tyler, the danger zone lane. Once you get stuck in the danger zone, there's nothing good that's going to happen to you as a driver. You're either going to lose positions as you start to see that 22 is drifting back. You're either going to make contact with the inside or outside lane drivers. You start to get a little bit loose. There's nowhere you can go once you're in that spot. And you saw it right there from that 22. He was starting to lose positions. He was trying to use that side draft to keep his momentum. But once he got a little bit of loose, he made contact with that 4, and chaos ensued after that.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers involved. Michael J. Boyd, that 81, he's involved. Heavy damage. 42, Steve Barnett. Raul Meza involved. He got a shot to the right front. Jason Morales, nowhere to go in that 5 machine. And Jason Stevenson as well in the 93 as there's Steve Barnett's machine. He's done for the night as well, probably. We'll have to see how many drivers are severely damaged after that wreck as we looks like the boss man Brady LaBeouf sneaking through without any damage, but we'll have to see how everyone restacks up once we get all the drivers back behind the pace car. It looks like we may have some pit stops coming here with just about 8 laps to go when they get to the stripe this time.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. Who heads down pit road? Who pushes the envelope here? We're yet to see who's going to head down as a few drivers are peeling off right there. We'll see if the leaders head down. and they don't. The leaders, the teammates here on the track stay out here with 8 laps to go, probably around 7 or 6 laps once you get everything gridded back up and reshuffled here. What do you think about that strategy there, Tyler? You think it's going to pay off for those teammates there on the top?
If they already took their tires, maybe they're comfortable enough on their fuel number. There's no real point in pitting. Interesting enough, though, Ron Hunter, Hunter Performance Motorsports, as well as Cody Sanderson of Hoosier Daddy Motorsports, they both pitted. They both were not involved in that incident, so maybe they're coming in. Maybe they thought they might have been short on fuel. Maybe they didn't take their tires that first pit stop. Are coming in now for service. Those two drivers were not involved in that incident, so they are definitely coming in as a strategy call to try and make a run here for the win.
Yeah, and call us both Mystic Mac up here because we predict these things. We predicted that this race was going to be a lot more action packed from duel number one. We also said, watch out at the pace of this race. A lot of these drivers have wasted no time. You know, Tyler, you spoke about there in duel number one, patience being the key. Patience is a virtue, but none of these drivers here in duel number two are very patient drivers. We've seen a lot of the drivers start to feel, bob and weave their way around the guy in front of them, start to feel out different air pockets. We've gone 3 wide a couple times already here tonight. That was actually a 3 wide battle that brought out that last caution. So here with about 8 or 7 laps to go here as we're still under caution, what do you foresee here at this finish? Do you think it's going to be a lot more what we've seen here the first quarter of this race or first 75% of this race? And do you think we might even have a 3 wide finish like we had in duel number one?
It just depends on how many trucks have speed. After looking back, Cody Sanders actually do have damage to those machines. So right now we only have, maybe 10 trucks that are without significant damage who didn't pit under that last caution. I mean, the furthest one back is Brady LaBeouf, and he is currently P number 9. Everyone else came down pit road for some sort of service. So, despite starting with 20 trucks, we're already down to 9 trucks that are healthy. We only had 9 trucks finish on the lead lap in duel number one, and they only had 14 to start. So we've seen more chaos. We may have a 3 wide finish like we saw at the end of duel number one, but it's going to come from these 9 trucks I think you're seeing right now.
Yeah, and that strategy that we saw from the teammates blocking both lanes, their high side and low side. Although you said it might not work out, but here, as we're about to go green with about 6 laps to go, do you think it might be an advantage now, counting down the laps here, as we saw right there towards the end before that yellow flag came out? One of the teammates slid back there to the inside lane there to work with him down there on the inside. Could that be something we see here towards the end where they're going to run side by side here, counting down the laps, and maybe with about 3 or 4 laps to go, they'll link back up there on the bottom side?
Maybe, but I think it's interesting. The leader of the race, Justin Lumpkin, chose the outside. I think they may do what you see often in super speedway racing. Lumpkin get the good start, come down right in front of Lothian as soon as he can past the start finish line, and then they will control that inside line. Only 6 laps left, not as many trucks anymore. Maybe not as much of a benefit to blocking both lanes, controlling both lanes. Instead, working together, pushing each other as hard as you can, and just controlling the one lane you have and just trying to be as fast as you can as we're about to get going here with 6 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, as the teammates Lumpkin and Lothian here are going to be 1-2 to start off this green flag drop here once again. And with 6 laps to go here, we are back racing here once again. Duel number 2 in the Sim Racer Hub Truck Series here as the 18 truck's going to take us down to corner number 1.
And exactly like I thought he would, he got right in front of Blake Lothian as soon as he was clear. And now you're going to see those two work together on that incident as they have that 53 machine behind of Bill Hales. He's going to sit in third. Tristan Rogers and Tyler Daniels going to battle for fourth there. Another BP Racing 4 autism entry there. Tyler Daniels saw his teammate win duel number one. Maybe he's trying to see if he can pull it off here in duel number two.
And what an excellent strategy there from Lumpkin and Lothian right there, going 1-2 here. They're leading that inside lane, heading down into 3 and 4, hitting that apex of 3 right now. Around 4 to that front stretch. They are separating themselves so far right now, Tyler, from the rest of the field. There is a significant gap between them and the third place truck right now as they're on the front stretch. Outside lane's not really building up too much right now as you see the 53 truck is going to lead that way on the outside lane. A little bit of a wiggle there as you see a little bit of a teamwork there once again as you see the 43 truck's going to pull off the outside to kill that momentum from the 53.
Yeah, it's interesting that the 43 pulled off that momentum to help probably his teammates to slow in the lanes, but you have a pair of teammates in that outside lane, that 53 of Bill Hales and Tristan Rogers, 55. Those two drivers are teammates. Interesting to note that they're working together as part of Matthews Motorsports. Their boss man, Dane Matthews, raced in duel number one. And a driver we haven't seen much, even though he is the pole sitter for the Butt Kicker 200, Kyle Hess, after dropping out of the main pack early. He's back here in the main pack, sitting fourth in that outside row.
And I really feel like it's going to be a tough task to knock these teammates off the top of the grid right now. As you see, the 43 truck's going to take us down into corner number one. If anything, it's going to have to be caused by a little bit of a separation. If I was the 53
And
truck, I would
Hutchison
try to go
skirts
around.
Rogers and loops around.
Oh no!
Matthew Hutchinson took him three wide, and then he ended up turning Tristan Rogers down into Justin Lumpkin, and it was on from there. Those three drivers were significantly damaged. Cody Sanderson looks like he got a piece of that as well. Pulse Popper's instant replay coming up. We'll see who exactly held their line. It was pretty chaotic, as it looked like Hutchinson came up into Rogers slightly there. Um, yeah, we'll get a better view right here of Hutchinson's incident here with Rogers and Lumpkin.
You see right there, it's what I spoke about last caution. It's that danger zone lane. You get stuck in that danger zone lane, and we see right there that 90 machine of Matthew Hutchinson. He's riding that inside lane, and it maybe just be a case there, Tyler, is that 90 was holding his line. He had that other truck sort of come down, drift down, and not know that 90 was already there. And once you make contact heading into that corner going as fast as you are, there's really no correcting that thing.
Yeah, as we see Hutchinson's truck go for a flight, it seems it looked really like Hutchinson and Rogers kind of met in the middle on that one. Kyle Hess, unfortunately, your pole sitter, was involved in a wreck there. We aren't like NASCAR; he will still keep his pole for the Bike Kicker 200 in, I believe, 2 weeks' time. But yeah, an unfortunate end to his night there, as the field is getting thin, and duel number two has lived up to its name as being the crazier of the duels so far, as Blake Lothian leading the field right now here at Daytona. Bill Hales running second. Third is Tyler Daniels, BP Racing for autism entry. Fourth is Brandon Bullock in his machine. And then fifth right now is Brady LaBeouf, the boss man. And then, yeah, that's all the trucks we have in the top that are
Yeah, and
with
this
the
is
pace
just
car.
yeah, and the pace car too. The pace car is actually getting a lot of work here tonight, Tyler. We've had a few cautions here tonight. Didn't really get many in duel number one. Only one per se there leading them around the track. So whoever's driving the pace truck here in duel number two is really getting some workout in.
Yeah, as we will hit our first green white checkered overtime finish this time, the race actually being extended for this one. Uh, is kind of different. The last one was a green white checkered, but it was a natural green white checkered. Everything just kind of matched up. We only went the 25 lap prescribed distance. Right now, it looks like we're going to go maybe an extra lap or two, as we see currently five healthy trucks leading the front of this field, and I feel like we aren't going to get that three wide finish we saw in duel number one.
Now, if you're the 43 truck there at the top, you're going to be the leader here, Lothian, when the green flag drops. Are you feeling like a little Lionel Richie, like all by himself up there, or do you feel like you can catch a little bit of help from maybe Hale behind you? Or right now, is your focus on maybe just holding on to the top of the grid here with 3 laps to go? Because you know there's going to be a train, you know there's going to be a big push behind you here once this green flag drops. What's going through the mindset of that 43 truck?
Lothian has a few friends from the Triple M Pulling Truck Series in that group of five. Brandon Bullock in that 17 machine, although on different teams. Lothian part of Sick With It Motorsports, Swim, and Bullock with Warrior Racing Esports. And then you have Brady LaBeouf in the 9, another Triple M Pulling Truck Series guy with Mission 1 Esports. Although all three of those drivers are on different teams, none of them have teammates up front here right now. Maybe those three drivers will work together because they're more familiar with each other here in this two-lap dash to the finish. But Tyler Daniels and Bill Hales, I mean, no one has a single teammate. You have five different teams in the top five, and really six if you count Cody Trantham there sitting in sixth position, although he has significant damage on the truck, that 22 machine.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see because we've already seen 3 wide battles here tonight in dual race number two. This will get things on and popping for our main event next week, as we've had 3 weeks of speed weeks here at Daytona. These drivers are hungry. These drivers are motivated. These drivers are feeling confident in their abilities. We've seen it here tonight, Tyler. Dual race number one was a little bit more calm, cool, and collected. A little bit more patient was the key word there. Here in dual race number two, these guys are dogs here on the racetrack. You've seen a lot of big moves, a lot of blocking moves, a lot of three wide racing, a lot of bobbing and weaving here. But here with about 2 laps to go here, our official time here in dual race number two. I cannot wait to see who comes out with the victory.
And there's a lot of pissed off drivers right now. Steve Barnett has some choice words with Cody Trantham in the post race fights chat. He's already messaged him directly about the incident earlier in the race, and really, no one's really made a bunch of friends tonight in duel number two. Maybe some drivers made a few friends or guys they'd like to work with after duel number one. Duel number two has been the exception to that one, as we only have 9 drivers on the lead lap and 4 of those with significant damage. So it'll be interesting to see how these 2-lap dash works with 5 clean trucks up front.
Yeah, right now, as the pace lights are off of the pace truck, we're waiting momentarily for that truck to head down pit road. We're going to get things on and popping here in duel number two in our first overtime race here as we are patiently waiting up here in the booth for the drop of the green flag. There goes that pace truck down pit road. We're going to roll up to that Geico restart zone. There it is right there as the green flag is in the air as the 43 truck of Lothian is going to take us down to corner number one.
And he gets a massive jump, and that's really going to prevent a big run from forming, at least through 1 and 2 this time by. He's going to drop down in front of Bill Hales in that 53 machine. He's got Tyler Daniels and Bray LaBeouf behind him. Brandon Bullock by himself, but Bray LaBeouf's going to go up and maybe work with someone he's met before in that triple point truck series. Bill Hales jumps to the outside of the 43, Blake Lothian off the 2.
Oh, gets very tight off of corner number 2 as Hales is going to overtake for the lead here. Heading down the backstretch, we see a good mixture of trucks right there as Hales is going to slide to the inside, throw that block on Lothian, and lead us down into corner number 3.
I thought Cody Trantham and Cody Sanderson with damaged trucks wouldn't have anything, but those two are sticking with this pack of 5. These 2 drivers may not be out of it. They're both in the lead lap. They could be competing for the win here as we have a group of 7 trucks coming down to it as we get the white flag here. Blake Lothian will lead them to 1 to go. Lothian on the outside, Bullock behind him, and Brady LaBeouf leading that outside lane. All the Triple M guys that I thought would be out there.
Yeah, what a crazy action-packed final lap this is going to be as Lothian, that 43 truck, makes a big block on the inside lane for Hales in that 53 as Hales now has to figure out what he wants to do here coming off of 2. Is he going to go to the outside of that 43 truck? No move made. There goes Hales to the outside as we head down to corner number 3.
Hales is going to get a big push from Bullock as they come into 3. Brady LaBeouf behind them. Those 3 are tight on the outside, but Bullock's going to dive down behind Hales. Brady LaBeouf's going to be left by himself.
Yeah, it's Brady LaBeouf's on the outside lane. Right now, it's Hales leading in that 53 truck. We'll watch coming off of 4 if there's any big runs. Hales going to block the outside lane. Inside lane again. He's blocking both lanes right now, but he's getting squeezed there in the middle. He's going to lose pace as the 43 truck's going to take us. He's not going to get it done, though. We'll have to see. That was a photo finish at the end of this race.
Brandon Bullock won that race by 0.06 of a second over Brady LaBeouf, who actually edged out Blake Lothian for second.
Wow.
Brandon Bullock, Brady LaBeouf, Blake Lothian, the 3 Triple M Pulling Truck Series guys, kind of working together. Bill Hales left too much space up top. He kind of half blocked the top. Bullock still had a run because of LaBeouf behind him. Didn't block Lothian enough on the bottom. And he ended up getting sucker holed there, and he'll end up finishing 4th. Tyler Daniels will finish 5th. Cody Sanderson 6th. And Raul
ending, though, Tyler. Look at this right here at the line. Oh my goodness.
And I was proven wrong. We have a 3-wide finish here in duel number 2. But Brandon Bullock takes the win after a great move on the restart. I thought he didn't have the move initially on that restart. He kind of got left out on the outside line. Brady LaBeouf went behind him, and he just held that outside line all the way. Let Bill Hales make the mistake, try to block both lanes at once, and that opened it up on the outside for Brandon Bullock.
Yeah, as that 17 truck's going to burn it down here on the front stretch, coming home with the victory, coming out of virtually nowhere. You spoke about it right there, Tyler. You didn't even know if he had the move there at the end, but he made it work in that truck. He came home with dual race number 2 with a big W right there. But one thing I want to point out about that finish, though, Tyler, Bill Hales was sideways. He was able to get that truck straight, save his truck right there in that middle lane, and avoid making contact with the other leaders up there, which allowed for that photo finish at the end. So I want to take my hat off to Bill Hales there for keeping that truck straight and making sure he finished this race here tonight.
Yeah, Hale's making the move right when he to, and just he unfortunately made the wrong move, but he still kept it together enough that we had a great finish at the end, and we'd like to get some of these guys in for their interviews. We'll start off with the third place finisher, Blake Lothian. He's already sitting in that transfer room. We're gonna bring him into the broadcast booth. Blake, you were up front most of the race. You were working with your teammate Justin, and then at the end, he got taken out in a wreck. What could you have done differently on that final restart?
I mean, I shouldn't have got that big of a jump, obviously. I mean, it was a legal restart, but I should have just waited to be in the restart zone. If I had everyone with me, that might have been a little bit of a different outcome. But I definitely got way too far up front, coming with two to go down the back that first time. And so I made a mistake there for sure. And then coming off of four, I felt like I threw a really big block, though, coming off of two down the back on the white. But I mean, if I had that again, I definitely do a few things different. I definitely want to see a replay and see what I did do wrong there because I felt like I had a decent run, especially coming off of four, coming to the short shoot. I definitely thought I was gonna get chopped off there and wrecked, but that was a really really fun race.
Yeah, and we see that block Bill Hall's there. And did you think that him maybe not committing to either lane on either block maybe gave you a chance at the end? And were you kind of surprised to look up to your outside and see that Brandon Bullock got you to the line now?
Oh, 100%. I mean, I felt like not blocking me to be inside definitely left the door open for me and Brendan Bullock on the top. And I was surprised, especially coming to the checker. I was like, oh, I think if I have a shot at this thing. I looked up and I saw the relative say I was PT. I was like, oh man, but that was a really fun race. I mean, especially with all the carnage. Glad to make it through it. My strategy was just to run back for a little bit, watch the first race. By the way, the broadcast really really good. Love it. But my uh, strategy was just to ride in the back, wait for the first crash, and then push after that and try to be up front the rest of the race.
And it almost worked out for you. And we appreciate the kind words about the broadcast. Always entertaining watching your race and also competing against you in that Friday night triple M point truck series. Always love racing with you. But Blake, anyone you'd like to thank before we let you go tonight?
Oh, of course, I'll stick with the motorsports. Jeffrey Sickles for giving me the opportunity, of course, to drive these amazing Millie's number 43 catering trucks, Toyota Tundras TRD Pros. I've got to thank all my real life sponsors. I'm back racing at Southern National this weekend, so if anyone is in that North Carolina region, come on out. I'm racing number 59 Mike Darn racing car, and then keep on the eye for potential 2023 Truck Series stuff. So, yeah,
And thank you, and again, congrats on third place. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you in that Craftsman Truck Series truck, maybe a couple races next year, maybe a little bit more of a schedule for you. And always love rooting for you. And again, thank you for hopping in here and talking with us tonight. And again, congrats on the third place finish.
thank you. I really appreciate it.
That was the third place finisher of Blake Luthian. We're now going to bring our second place finisher, Brady LaBeouf, the boss man, into the booth. Brady, I was going to call you up on one of the cautions, but Will and I were just having such a great back and forth. I didn't. What did you see on that final restart, and is there anything you could have done differently?
That's no problem, man. We had a lot of team chatter going on, anyways, of what our plan was going to be for that little final run there. Man, I didn't like where restarted on that restart right there, but I wanted to get to the top. I was able to get there. I knew with the amount of trucks they had left that I can pretty much dictate what I wanted to do, and I had been working with Brandon, so I figured I'd just stay behind him and push him to see how it was going to play out. And I'm happy that I was able to push him to the win, and I actually came home second.
Yeah, sneaking out over Blake Lothian by 4 thousandths of a second. A very tight race between the two of you. And I noted on that final restart, the three of you were kind of near each other, Blake, Brandon, and yourself. Does working together in the Triple M pulling truck series, or at least racing against each other, give you that familiarity where you can work together in a situation like this late in the race?
Oh yeah, absolutely. At one point before the big crash, Kyle Hess was up there, Justin Lumpkin, Blake, Brandon, Raul. So to have some familiar guys that you're used to running with. It was nice because you know how to push guys, you know how to get off of guys and stuff like that in the corners and whatnot. So it was good and it was fun.
Well, and that's what we love to hear, boss man. And before we let you go, so we can talk to the winner, so we do need to do that. Is there anyone you'd like to thank tonight that makes it happen for you or for the league?
Absolutely. My wife and kids, thank you for letting them put up with me doing all this stuff. Nazra 360 Network, thank you, Will, Cody, and Adam for the great work that you guys do. Everybody that makes this possible, it takes the drivers. So everybody that came out tonight and that's going to continue to come out tonight. Mission One Esports, all my teammates and my sponsors, NRE Power Systems, and Butt Kicker, and yep, that's it.
Well, thank you, Brady, and again, congrats on an amazing second place finish tonight for Mission One Esports. And that gives you 2 playoff points carrying throughout the season for you. So that always makes you feel a little bit better after coming so close to winning here in the preseason race. So we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for the Butt Kicker 200 here at Daytona. But we got to get to our winner now, Brandon Bullock, as we're going to bring him into the broadcast booth. Brandon, getting that win for Warrior Racing Esports early on here, duel number 2. What's it like, to finally get that win?
Oh, it's been a long time coming. It seems like every time I'm in position to get there, uh, something happens. So it's great to start a new season there and, you know, get a few playoff points to start the year. Always a good thing.
Yeah, like you said, you're getting those 3 playoff points, and it's hugely helpful as you go through the season. But it also gets you that outside row, second row starting position for the Butt Kicker 200 in 2 weeks' time. Uh, was that coming into any thought play? And also, what was it like having familiar faces around you on that final restart of Brady LaBeouf, of Blake Lothian, of guys that you see in the Triple M Pulling Truck Series?
Oh, definitely the um, familiarity was very helpful. Like I knew pretty much who I could trust as far as not pulling something too aggressive there. So the plan was to stay behind Blake and push him out front, and then we could kind of dictate the top line. And then the 53 jumped up there, and I was like, okay, well, we can just do this again. So it kind of worked out. And then Brady, of course, sticking with me and giving me the push to the win was great as well. The second row for the 200 to start. I mean, it's nice to start up front, but with super speedways, it's always just as risky as starting anywhere. So
For sure, and super speedway, especially a long race like we have the bucket for 202 weeks to start the season. Anything can happen in those long races, but it does give you a little bit of an advantage for that first stage, collecting some stage point. But Brandon, again, we want to say a big congrats here from the Nazareth 360 booth, broadcasting booth. But before we let you go tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank that makes this happen for you?
oh yeah, first and foremost, my wife and kids. Um, if they didn't put up with me doing or spending my time with my hobby, that that would be a detriment to me getting it done. So them, and then we got Nazra, you guys, Nazra 360, um, Warrior Racing, my teammates Raul and Cody, and of course Brady and everybody at Nazra. Um, and then we got Butt Kicker and Pulse Popper and Warrior Wraps and Warrior Photos as well.
Yeah, well, again, Brandon, sorry, again, all sorts of things mixed up. We'd like to again congratulate you on winning duel number 2, getting those 3 playoff points, also getting a nice bit of a cash payout. Uh, Looking forward to seeing you in 2 weeks and seeing how you perform in the big one, the Butt Kicker 200 here at Daytona International Speedway. And again, I would like to take this moment also to thank our entire broadcast crew, our 2 producers who were had tonight, Adam Flieger for duel number 1, and then Cody Knott for duel number 2. everything that they do for us as our producers really makes this job easy and fun and well, I mean, just a super entertaining racing group of races tonight.
Oh man, Tyler, we saw duel number one. Come off to what you mentioned, the patience game. It was really kind of feeling each other out, getting to know each other. We had one caution in that race, a lot of side by side racing, not a lot of three wide racing. We did have a three wide finish at the end, which made it a very exciting end to that race. But you spoke about it for duel number two. You had that pack of dogs racing in duel number two. From the drop of the green flag, we saw guys bobbing and weaving. We saw drivers go three wide. We saw a lot more caution flags fly. And there at the very, very end, we had one of the closest finishes right there with these trucks that you can ever have right up there. We had a driver virtually come out of nowhere to snag that victory at the end. So if this is any indication of what we're going to see next week in that main event, I cannot wait for next week's race here at Daytona.
Correction, that race will be in 2 weeks. We are off for
Ah,
Halloween, as we know a lot of drivers have
that's right.
kids.
Off for Halloween.
And so I hope everyone watching and also everyone in our leagues has a happy Halloween. Um, Obviously, we appreciate all the support, everyone watching tonight, and also all the drivers are coming out and racing and really putting on a show in both duels. And again, we'd like to take this moment to congratulate both duel winners, Tori Thompson, duel number one for BP Racing for Autism, and Brandon Bullock winning duel number two for Warrior Racing Esports. Just amazing, entertaining races to kick off our season. I know we started last week, but kicking off my season here in the broadcast booth. But before we get going, we'd like to bring the Bros man back in here. Brady, it's just some final thoughts on the duels tonight.
Oh man. Well, first off, thank you to all the drivers for coming out tonight. I mean, this is some of the best racing that I've seen in a while. So great job by everybody. Aggression. Everybody wants those playoff points. That's how important they are. So just some great racing tonight. Great job by the broadcast, and I can't wait to get the season kicked off in 2 weeks.
And I believe Will and I are right in the boat with you. Can't wait to get this season kicked off, and really looking forward to what the season has in store here for the SimRacerHub.com Truck Series, brought to you by Nazra. For Will Tiller, I'm Tyler Dittmer. For our producers Adam Flieger and Cody Knott, and for the boss man Brady LaBeouf, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and we can't wait to see you guys in 2 weeks' time for the Butt Kicker 200 to kick off the regular season of the SimRacerHub.com Truck Series by Nazra. Once again, thank you all, and we'd like to wish you all a good night.